Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Hey, Team Healthy. Glad to have you for yet another episode of Unbound. My able assistant, Gus, and I have been going over some comments and questions that you all have sent in. And today, we're going to be talking about something that is, frankly, quite confounding. And it's the question, why do narcissists feel the need to hurt you? Now, one of the, and I know you can have many stories to that effect, like, oh yeah, it's like, it's kind of a game to them, or it's an exercise to them, or it's an automatic reflex. They just come at you with such painful and harmful kinds of initiatives. What's going on? What gives? It's going to be most necessary for each one of us to understand that when narcissists are coming toward you in a very hurtful and damaging kind of way, they want you to think that all of the problems that are part of the relationship are on your shoulders. And in doing so, they overlook one enormous truth, and that is they are filled with their own internal chaos, and they can't come to terms with it. So a long time ago, not knowing what to do, I refer to it as their emotional incompetence, they decided, well, I don't know how to manage my internal strain and hurt and fear and lack of trust and my bitterness toward other individuals. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point toward other individuals in my world, and I'm going to make them responsible for making me feel good. Now, I know that's kind of a nutshell kind of an explanation, but that's what's going on. Now, I have a couple of illustrations here from people who are confounded because they were attached to people who just were bound and determined to be derogatory and dismissive and invalidating. Let's see if we can get an idea of what they're going through, and in doing so, I'm hoping it can cause you to reflect on what's going on or has happened in your world. Now, the first person writes in and says, one of my questions is, why are they so easily threatened? And another question is, why would they want to hurt someone on purpose, especially when that person cared about them? Great question. Toward the end of my marriage, I found myself actually saying to my ex-husband, I matter. And I couldn't believe that I felt that I even had to say this. I felt like I was a nobody. That leaves me asking, why is it okay that they matter, but no one else does? Okay, whoever wrote this question just went straight to the essence of the problem right away. When narcissists let you know, you don't matter to me, I don't care about you, and there are all sorts of issues on the inside of your life that mean nothing to me, what they're doing is they're insisting you have to be a nobody so that I can be a somebody. Now, one of the things that I have written about in years past is what I refer to as the significance principle. And the significance principle very simply says that every single person in the world wants to have at least some feeling of significance. They want it better. They want to feel like they belong, that they have worth, that they have value, they have dignity. Every person wants to do that. And then what I would also do is I would dovetail off of that and then talk about what I refer to as the significance paradox. The significance paradox says the best way for me to find my significance is to help you find yours. Because once I've been instrumental in bringing goodness and decency and value to your life, at the end of the day, I feel good about myself too. So it's a win-win kind of a proposition. Narcissists don't understand the significance. Well, they've got the significance principle. I want to be significant, but they absolutely don't understand the significance paradox. The narcissist uses really lousy psychological math, thinking, well, my significance increases as your significance decreases. And you hear me say that they're competitive in their thinking. There's a truly a twisted, self-absorbed, pessimistic mindset that they draw upon. And this has been something that's been building for years and decades in most cases. So here we have this person who says, well, in my marriage, I felt like I was somebody who had plenty to give. And repeatedly, I received the message that said, I don't matter. And the biggest mistake, and I don't fault this person for feeling this way, but the biggest mistake is when you hear that kind of message over and over, you begin wondering, well, what did I do? What does this say about me? Why have I, or what have I done that causes this person to give me a failing grade? And the answer is, you showed up. Now, I don't mean to minimize whatsoever what this person is feeling, but I will say, if there was another person who was married to that same guy, that other person would get the same treatment. The narcissist wants you to think this is all about you and your deficiencies, when in fact, no, they're going to be that way regardless of who's in front of them. And you want to remind yourself, these are people who carry a great deal of pain. Another way that you've heard me describe narcissism, it's I refer to it as a failure in pain management. That's another key ingredient for you to understand. So this person is treating you in this disdainful way because that individual has not come to terms with their own deep history of rejection or feeling invalidated or wishing to be on the inside with others, wondering if that can ever happen. And so there's so much displacement and projection of their unfinished business onto you. Now, what you'd like to do is sit down with this husband that you're talking about and say, hey, can we talk about this? Can we get a good insight as to what's going on? And I'm guessing this woman probably attempted to do that. And the fact that it's ending in a divorce is like, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't think that way. I've come to the conclusion that it's too complicated for me to start talking about my flaws because I don't have enough of an ego strength to be able to go into that space. I'm just going to put it all onto you. That's what you're up against. Now, we have another illustration of this, and this is kind of an odd one, but again, this is one that is actually fairly common based on conversations I've had with people. This person says, I was only married 2 months when my then wife declared that my side of the family was going to be excluded from any meaningful time with us. She wanted only to spend special days with her family. At first, I thought she was exaggerating, but she wasn't. When I would protest, she'd have this look of pure hatred. That's really sad. I had no idea that she would be this kind of person, but she just became worse as the years passed. And then what's worse, she had no shame whatsoever for her meanness. Okay, right there, and it's intriguing that it's happened right at the very beginning stages of that marriage relationship. Apparently, she must have hidden it during the courtship time, and how long that lasted, who knows. But what we have here is we have a woman who's not verbally saying this, but is more or less declaring, my family of origin gives me things that you don't. Or my family of origin treats me in ways that makes me feel like I'm golden. And was this woman a golden child? I'm going to guess, yeah, apparently so. And that's what I have to have. And I'm too insecure to look beyond what these people, my family of origin, have given me. And so I don't want to have to invest in times where I'm getting used to a new family or a new set of people and circumstances. And so you're just going to have to conform to me. And so this narrowness that this ex-wife has had has consumed her. And the husband is more or less saying, well, let's expand. You can love both your family and my family, and we can expand on that and say, plus quite a few other folks that show up in our lives along the way. And apparently this person says, but I have to have that version of acceptance. I have to have that version of camaraderie only. And so if you come along and say, but there's more to life than my family of origin, then I hate you. And I disdain you, and I'm going to hold you in contempt. I'm going to hold you in disregard. From the very beginning, your family has no use to me because they're not these people. And you can see that again, what we have somebody who's operating with this delusional system of thinking. It's like, well, if I can just get somebody, or maybe just a few somebodies who will line up with everything that I say that I want. Oh, good. Mother or daddy or sister or brother, whoever that might have been, they're willing to do that. I require that of my new partner, and I'm not so sure about the people that are attached to that new partner. So we're just going to summarily say you're no good, and then when you come along and say there's a better way, then let's just dismiss that because I've already got the best, and you need to just come over into my world of the best. And so, again, we can see that a person who's very willing to say, I dismiss other individuals strictly because I don't have the ego strength to deal with distinctions and differences, that's a person who's got a great deal of psychopathology and, frankly, a childish approach toward life that they can't come from under. So the key thing that I want you to understand, when you're on the receiving end of a narcissist's hateful agenda, where you're just summarily dismissed, you're told that you're not adequate enough, your people are not adequate enough, they want you to think, yeah, and the reason is because you don't measure up. You have not figured out life. You are defective. And all of that is pure projection. It's displacement of their pain, and so don't buy into it with all of your flailing and where did I go wrong and all of that. Instead, remind yourself, I'm dealing with somebody who's psychologically fixated in a very early stage of development. They haven't grown. They're not likely to grow. And the only way I can respond is to separate myself off from that in such a way where I can grow beyond the childishness that they carry within themselves. So I hope that this gives you some awareness of what you might be dealing with. I have a very strong suspicion that many of you could say, well, I didn't exactly have these circumstances, but I have very similar experiences. Here on Team Healthy, one of the things we do is we exist to encourage each other. Now, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do so. We're going to keep more of these videos coming to you. The reason I entitled this the Unbound series is I want you to feel liberated in the way that you approach your own personal life. Now, many of you, as you're trying to do this, would conclude, I could use some therapeutic assistance. You know that I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. It's a whole team of licensed professional therapists. If you have a need, please go through the link that we have below and answer a few questions and get the help that would be warranted. Now, in addition to that, I would invite you to go to my website. I have lots of resources. When I say lots, a whole bunch. I have courses. We have 4 of them about anger games. This is me about boundaries, ready, set, connect, about healthy connections, free to be about finding yourself despite the controllers. Each of those courses has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts. We also have my webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations. We have hundreds of articles that are in there, so you can get yourself lost in all of that, in addition to my books and all. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey, but take advantage of the resources that would be there. Why do narcissists need to hate you? It's because they have such a strong presence of garbage on the inside of themselves that they have not come to terms with. Again, they won't admit it, but that's what they carry. And so they displace it onto you. And I'm hoping you can decide, I am not going to be a receptacle for your psychological damage. That's for you to take responsibility for. I'm going to be responsible for me, not for your pitiable way of life. And I'm hoping you can move forward in steadiness and peace in such a way that they can't. They won't join you, but I'm hoping you can definitely commit yourself to that end.